Why do you treat your people with so much cruelty? Odara asked, her voice firm but compassionate. Princess Somma, unable to muster a response, could only tremble and beg for mercy. Odara, satisfied that her message had been delivered, warned Somma to mend her ways or face the consequences.
Once upon a time, in the peaceful village of Umobi, in the eastern part of Nigeria, there lived a royal family. The king, named Abuchi, was loved by all for his kindness and wisdom. His queen, Adugo, was as beautiful as the rising sun, and her heart was as warm as the midday breeze. They had two children, a son named Onochiri and a daughter named Somma. Princess Somma was the youngest, but she carried herself with an air of superiority that made even the birds in the sky uneasy.
Somma's parents had tried their best to teach her kindness and humility, but she would have none of it. She believed herself to be above everyone else, especially the common villagers. While her brother Onochiri was beloved by all for his gentle nature, Somma ruled with an iron fist, making the villagers tremble in fear. No one dared to cross Princess Somma, for she was quick to punish anyone who dared to challenge her authority. She would mock the village elders and torment the maidens, making their lives miserable with her cruel words and action. The villagers whispered about her behind her back, calling her the cruel princess, and praying that they would never cross her path. One day, as Princess Summer was strolling through the village with her maids and guards, she came across a young couple stealing a moment of love by the roadside. Enraged by their audacity, Summer ordered the guards to beat them mercilessly, for she could not stand the sight of anyone claiming to be in love. I am the princess of this land, and no one shall defy me, she declared, her voice dripping with malice. The villagers watched in fear as Summer continued her reign of terror, unchecked by anyone, not even her own parents. The elders of the village pleaded with King Abuchi to rein his daughter's cruelty, but the king was at a loss. He loved Summer dearly, but her arrogance seemed to have taken root deep within her heart. One day, King Abuchi called for a meeting with his daughter, hoping to reason with her once more. Summer, my daughter, he began gently, you must understand that true strength lies in kindness, not in fear. But Summer would hear none of it. I am the princess' father, she replied hotly. I do as I please, and no one shall dare to stop me. The king sighed in despair, realizing that his daughter's heart was as stubborn as the tallest Iroko tree. And so, Princess Summer continued her reign of terror, her arrogance casting a dark shadow over the once peaceful village of Umobi. As days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months, Princess Summer's tyranny over the village of Umobi only grew stronger. The people lived in constant fear, their hearts heavy with sorrow and their souls burdened by the weight of the princess' cruelty. Prince Onochiri, Summer's gentle-hearted brother, could no longer stand idly by and watch his sister wreak havoc upon their people. He called for Summer one day, hoping to reason with her and bring an end to her reign of terror. Summer, please, he pleaded. You must stop this madness. Your actions bring nothing but pain and suffering to our people. But Summer's pride was as unyielding as the stone walls of their castle. Mind your business, Onochiri. She spat, her eyes flashing with anger. I am the princess, and I shall do as I please. With a heavy heart, Prince Onochiri watched as his sister stormed out of the room, her footsteps echoing with arrogance. Meanwhile, the villagers whispered amongst themselves, their voices filled with despair. Some even prayed for Princess Osoma's downfall, believing that only then would their village know peace once more. One fateful day, as Princess Soma was passing through the village square, she encountered a man named Obi who passed by without greeting her. Enraged by his perceived disrespect, Soma called him back and delivered a heavy slap across his cheek. Mr. Obi, unable to contain his anger, raised his hand to strike back, but before he could, Soma's guard descended upon him like a pack of wolves. They beat him mercilessly, leaving him bruised and battered on the ground. However, amidst the chaos, a stranger appeared. Her name was Udara, a tall and beautiful maiden who had recently returned to the village to live with her grandmother. Seeing Obi in distress, she rushed to his aid, helping him to his feet and guiding him back to his home. Mrs. Obi, grateful for Odara's kindness, shared with her the villagers' plight and the tyranny of Princess Soma. Udara listened intently, her heart swelling for compassion for the suffering people of Umobi. I will not stand idly by and watch innocent people being harmed, Udara declared, determination burning bright in her eyes. But Mrs. Obi warned her of the dangers of confronting Princess Soma. She is a cruel and powerful princess, she cautioned. You must tread carefully, lest you bring harm upon yourself. Udara nodded solemnly, but her resolve remained unshaken. She bid Mrs. Obi farewell and returned to her grandmother's home, where she shared her plans with Ezine, her wise old mother. Ezine, I cannot sit back and watch as our people suffer, Udara said, her voice filled with determination. I must do something to stop Princess Somma's tyranny. But Ezine, knowing the dangers that lay ahead, urged caution. My child, I understand your desire to help, but you must not underestimate the power of Princess Somma. She warned, she's a formidable adversary, and you must be prepared for whatever may come. Odara nodded, taking her grandmother's words to heart. Together, they shared a meal and laughed, finding solace in each other's company amidst the darkness that loomed over their village. As time passed, the villagers of Umobi lived in fear of Princess Somma's cruel reign. But amidst the darkness, a glimmer of hope emerged in the form of Odara, a brave maiden with a heart of gold. One day, as Udara was returning from the farm, she witnessed a horrifying scene. Princess Soma and her guards were mercilessly beating an aged woman simply because she had not knelt to greet the princess. Udara's blood boiled with anger at the sight of such injustice, and without hesitations, she confronted Princess Soma. Stop this cruelty at once, Odara commanded, her voice ringing out with authority. Princess Soma, taken aback by Odara's audacity, demanded to know who she thought she was. But Odara stood her ground, introducing herself and admonishing Soma for her tyrannical behavior. Enraged by Odara's defiance, Princess Soma ordered her guards to attack. But before they could lay a hand on Odara, a mysterious force pushed them back, leaving them trembling in fear. With determination blazing in her eyes, Odara advanced towards Princess Soma, who cowered on the ground, her arrogance crumbling in the face of Odara's strength. "Why do you treat your people with so much cruelty?" Odara asked, her voice firm but compassionate. Princess Soma, unable to muster a response, could only tremble and beg for mercy. Odara, satisfied that her message had been delivered, warned Soma to mend her ways or face the consequences. As Soma fled the scene in fear, Odara smiled, knowing that she had stood up for what was right. Word of Odara's bravery spread quickly throughout the village, bringing hope to the hearts of the oppressed villagers. Princess Soma, meanwhile, ran home to her father, King Abuchi, spinning a tale of a mysterious maiden with dangerous powers who had attacked her. Concerned for his daughter's safety, King Abuchi ordered his guards to find Odara and bring her to the palace. Soma, filled with panic, watched as her father's guards set out on their mission. Soon enough, Odara was brought before the king, where she recounted the events that had transpired. She assured the king that she had no intention of harming Princess Soma, only of standing up against her cruelty. Princess Soma, however, interjected, accusing Odara of attempting to kill her. But to her dismay, the king, along with the queen and Prince Onochiri, sided with Odara, thanking her for her courage and integrity. Furious and humiliated, Princess Soma stormed out of the palace, her tears mixing with her rage. Odara, on the other hand, felt a sense of vindication, knowing that the king was not blind to his daughter's misdeeds. Promising to keep an eye on Princess Soma, Odara bid farewell to the royal family and left the palace, her heart lighter, knowing that justice had been served. As night fell over the village of Umobi, Princess Soma's heart burned with rage and resentment. She tossed and turned in her bed, her mind consumed with thoughts of revenge against Odara, the brave maiden who had dared to defy her. In her humble home, Odara slept soundly, her heart filled with contentment, knowing that she had stood up for what was right. The villagers, grateful for her bravery, had come to thank her, and Odara had promised to protect them from Princess Soma's tyranny. But little did Odara or the villagers know, Princess Soma's thirst for vengeance ran deep. She plotted in the darkness, determined to make Odara pay for the humiliation she had suffered. Meanwhile, Odara went about her daily routine, helping her grandmother Ezine and keeping a vigilant eye out for any sign of Princess Soma's mischief. But one fateful day, as Odara made her way to the farm, tragedy struck. Hidden in the bushes, Soma and her guards lay in wait. As Odara passed by, one of the guards emerged and threw a substance at her face. Odara screamed in agony as the substance burned her eyes. and Princess Summer appeared, laughing triumphantly. You thought you could defy me and get away with it, Summer sneered. Now you will see the consequences of crossing me. Udara, blinded by pain and tears, cursed Princess Summer for her wickedness. But Summer only laughed harder, taunting Udara for her supposed supernatural powers. Leaving Udara, written in agony, Princess Summer and her guards walked away, leaving behind a trail of suffering and despair. Luckily, some villagers passing by heard Udara's cries and rushed to her aid. They helped her back to her grandmother's home, where Ezine tended to her wounds with a heavy heart. Udara pleaded with Ezine not to reveal the truth about her attack to anyone, fearing retribution from Princess Summer. Ezine, though filled with sadness and worry, agreed to keep their secret safe. Meanwhile, Princess Summer's cruelty only intensified, her action becoming more ruthless and unforgiving with each passing day. The villagers lived in constant fear, their hearts heavy with despair. But even in the darkness, a glimmer of hope remained. Though blinded and broken, Odara's spirit remained unbroken, her determination to stand up against injustice burning brighter than ever before. As the days passed, the weight of Odara's blindness hung heavy over the village of Umobi. The queen, filled with concern for Odara's well-being, ordered the guard to fetch her, only to learn the heartbreaking truth of Odara's affliction. Distraught, the queen relayed the news to King Abuchi, who shared her worry and summoned Princess Summer for questioning. But despite their suspicions, Princess Summer vehemently denied any involvement in Odara's misfortune, her lies dripping with deceit. The prince, Onochiri, filled with sorrow, decided to visit Odara at her home. Seeing her blind and broken, his heart ached with empathy. He pleaded with Odara to reveal the truth of her attack. But Odara, burdened by fear and grief, remained silent. Meanwhile, tragedy struck once more as Odara's grandmother Ezine passed away in her sleep. Odara's cries of anguish pierced the night as the villagers gathered to mourn the loss of their beloved elder. With heavy hearts, the villagers laid Ezine to rest, standing beside Odara in her time of need. But amidst their grief, Odara couldn't shake the feeling that her grandmother's death was no accident. She suspected Princess Summer's hand in the tragedy, a thought that filled her with dread and despair. Determined to offer Odara the care and support she needed, the queen decided to bring her into the palace. But Odara, crippled by fear of Princess Summer's wrath, hesitated to accept the offer. It's an order from the king, the queen explained gently, her voice filled with compassion. You must come with us, Odara. We will protect you. Reluctantly, Odara agreed, knowing that she had no choice but to obey the king's command. With heavy hearts, she bid farewell to her home, her future uncertain. With Odara now residing in the palace, the queen took it upon herself to care for her, offering her comfort and solace in their time of need. But Princess Soma, filled with envy and malice, plotted to make Odara's life a living hell. One day, when Odara was alone in her room, Princess Soma confronted her, spewing venomous threats and insults. Odara, unable to see the face of her tormentor, could only weep in silence. her heart heavy with despair. But amidst the darkness, a glimmer of light shone through in the form of Prince Onochiri. He grew fond of Odara, always by her side to offer his support and protection. And one day, he gathered the courage to ask Odara to be his wife, promising to stand by her side no matter what. Overwhelmed with emotion, Odara accepted, her heart filled with love and gratitude. When Prince Onochiri shared his desire to marry Odara with his parents, they embraced the union with open arms, showering the couple with their blessings. But Princess Somma, consumed by jealousy, confronted her brother, demanding that he abandon his plans to marry Odara. She swore to do whatever it took to rid the palace of Odara's presence, even if it meant resorting to drastic measures. Determined to carry out his sinister plot, Princess Somma intercepted a maid carrying food for Odara, insisting that she would deliver it herself. Secretly, she added a deadly substance to the food, intending to poison Odara and rid herself of her rival once and for all. As Princess Somma approached Odara with the tainted food, she was interrupted by the sight of Prince Onochiri and Odara laughing and chatting happily together. Enraged, she dropped the food and lied to Odara, claiming that she had brought it because the maids were busy. But Odara, sensing something amiss, insisted that Princess Somma test the food herself. Princess Somma, fearing exposure, refused, but Prince Onochiri intervened, forcing her to eat the poisonous food. As the poison took hold of her, Princess Somma cried out in agony, confessing to her heinous crimes. She admitted to blinding Odara, killing her grandmother, and attempting to poison her, all out of jealousy and spite. In her final moments, Princess Somma begged for forgiveness, but it was too late. The palace was plunged into mourning as the villagers grappled with mixed emotions of sadness and relief. And amidst the tragedy, Udara and Prince Onochiri's love prevailed, a beacon of hope in the midst of darkness. After the tragic events that unfolded in the palace, the village chief priest arrived to summon the king. He spoke of Udara's great power and the protection bestowed upon her by the gods. He declared that Udara's sight would be restored in the 4 market days. But before that, a cleansing ritual must be performed to rid the land of the evil caused by Princess Somma. The villagers gathered to witness the ritual, their hearts heavy with sorrow for the pain caused by Princess Somma's wickedness. But as the ritual concluded, a sense of hope filled the air, and on that same day, Udara's sight was miraculously restored. Udara's joy knew no bounds as she beheld the world with newfound clarity. The palace rejoiced at her miraculous recovery, welcoming her with open arms into the royal family. Weeks passed, and as the village prepared for a joyous occasion, Prince Onochiri and Odara exchanged vows and were married. The entire village came together to celebrate their union, their hearts filled with happiness and love. Odara, once a victim of Princess Somma's cruelty, now stood as a beacon of hope and resilience in the land of Umobi. Her bravery and kindness earned her the admiration and respect of all who knew her. As she walked through the village, children would gather around her, eager to hear tales of her adventures and triumphs. Elders would bow their heads in reverence, grateful for her role in bringing peace and harmony back to their once troubled land. Udara's legacy lived on for generations to come, Her name spoke with reverence and gratitude. She became a symbol of hope and courage, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, love and kindness will always prevail. Lesson from this story: in life, it's important to treat others with kindness and respect, no matter their status or background. Princess Summer's arrogance and cruelty brought pain and suffering to those around her, while Odara's bravery and compassion helped bring peace and happiness back to the village. The story teaches us that kindness, courage, and empathy are powerful qualities that can overcome even the darkest of challenges. We should always strive to be like Odara, spreading love and positivity wherever we go. Thank you for watching this exciting story about Princess Soma and Odara on African Stories. If you liked it and felt happy with their journey, please show your support by clicking the like button, sharing with your friends, and leaving a comment below. To see more interesting stories and learn more about different cultures, subscribe to African Stories and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Your support means a lot and helps us bring more stories to you. Until we meet again, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep smiling.